Third Phase Moon, Blake Cousins. Welcome back, everybody, from around the world. I have a big question for you. NSA whistleblowers. How deep does the conspiracy go? This week, President Obama, right before President Trump took office, he's granted clemency to Chelsea Manning. Chelsea will be released from prison May 17, 2017. Basically, Bradley Manning is now Chelsea Manning, and she is a former U.S. Army intelligence analyst who was sentenced to 35 years in prison for theft and espionage in August 2013. Manning released classified information in 2010 to the online multinational media organization and associated library WikiLeaks, in hopes that the human rights horrors that these documents contain would reach the public. Many have questioned President Obama's decision to release Manning, but in his final White House news conference on Wednesday, January 18th, Obama felt that justice has been served, and also explained that Manning took responsibility for her crime by going to trial and that her prison sentence has been disproportionate in comparison to other leakers. Now, another infamous whistleblower comes to mind as the topic of Manning's upcoming release is discussed around the web this week. What about Edward Snowden, former CIA computer technician, NSA contractor, and expatriate, has been seeking asylum in Russia since 2013 for leaking highly classified documents about the NSA surveillance programs and capabilities. Many questions are being asked as to why Manning has been released, but Snowden hasn't been offered any sort of pardon or clemency. Well, according to several sources, Snowden has not filed for paperwork for a presidential pardon, along with fleeing the United States and seeking political asylum for our well-known adversary, Russia. Obama has stated that while acknowledging the petition for a pardon for Snowden, signed by over 1 million people, he stated he can't pardon somebody who hasn't gone before a court and presented themselves. Snowden stated in 2014 he'd volunteer for prison as long as it served for the right purpose, but he can't allow the law to become a political weapon or agree to scare people away for standing up for their rights, no matter how good the deal. I'm not going to be part of that. Snowden's response brings forward to a rather chilling inquiry. What information does he have that the United States is so afraid of, and why is Russia so eager to offer asylum? While working at the NSA facility on the island of Oahu in 2013, Snowden downloaded 1.7 million highly classified top-secret documents obtained from the U.S. Department of Defense, run by our national security agency. He knew, based on what had happened with previous NSA blowers, that he'd have to provide some sort of documentation if he were to have any chance of being noticed. Even his incredibly organized and well-planned release wasn't enough. At this point, the US government was so elaborately involved in a global conspiracy that no amount of information leaks could stop them. While he had the option to release the information to the public through a channel such as WikiLeaks, Snowden stated this: "I don't desire to enable the Bradley Manning argument that these documents were released recklessly and unreviewed. I carefully evaluated every single document I disclosed to ensure that each was legitimate in the public interest. There are also all sorts of documents that would have made a big impact that I didn't turn over because harming people isn't my goal. Transparency is." It seems that Snowden shows no remorse. But whether his actions were right or wrong, he still has gained access to some of the most secretive documents in US history, and Putin seems on helping Snowden succeed with his agenda. Some sources say that Snowden has uncovered a global conspiracy, one that would shock the public and disrupt the fragile social-economic status quo that has been carefully planned and executed. But by whom? Snowden seems to know the answer to this cryptic question. There were actually two governments, that one that was selected and the other secret regime governed in the dark. A Federal Service report on Snowden and the stolen information states that it provides absolute proof that an alien extraterrestrial intelligence agenda is driving U.S. domestic and international policy and has been doing so since at least 1945. According to these documents, it's been confirmed that there is an alien race called the Tall Whites that has been working behind the scenes with the U.S. government in Nevada, Area 51, since World War II. These same reports also show that Germany's rise to power during the 1930s can be attributed to some alien assistance. The agenda being implemented by the secret regime under the control of the Tall Whites ruling the United States calls for the creation of a global electronic surveillance system that can hide all true information but their presence here on Earth as they enter into the final phase of their end plan for total assimilation and world domination. Now, could Russia be using the intelligence Snowden has gathered to plan a counterattack against these alien aggressors and possibly the United States? How deep does this conspiracy go, and what can we do to stop it? The secret seems to be with Snowden and his documents. We can only hope that he will continue to release this information as he deems necessary for the public awareness of transparency. Now, what will President Donald Trump decide? Will he grant clemency to Edward Snowden? It doesn't sound like it. He has some pretty harsh words for Edward Snowden. He says there's a death penalty placed for him. I don't know about this. I think that Edward Snowden was possibly doing the right thing. We interviewed Senator Gravel. He claims that Edward Snowden is a hero. What's your thoughts, people? What do you think about Edward Snowden and some of the information that he has yet to be released to the public? We want to hear your opinions, everybody, and keep your eyes on the skies. There's things up there, and have a steady hand. And if you've captured anything amazing, submit it to us right here at Third Phase of Moon. My email is in the description below.
With respect to the fact that there are extraterrestrials and that they have been observing our planet for more than 1,000 years, and that they are reluctant to make official contact with us. I fully understand, since we are a very bellicose planet, and because of our nuclear capability, I think anybody should be very cautious about how they approach us.
Wow, this is Blake Cousins. Welcome to Third Phase of the Moon, Mr. Senator Gravel. This is basically, we consider certain radio shows a regular radio show, and then we consider some historic. And we've had, Edgar Mitchell, Third Mission to the Moon, and a nuclear physicist, Stanton T. Friedman. We consider those historical, and being with the Senator on Third Phase of the Moon is historical in our opinion. So again, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind words.
Hey, let me get to this question. And you were also saying about this vast universe. I think it's mathematically impossible to deny through mathematics that there is life in the universe. It's too infinite and vast not to be that certain fact. My question is, as a senator in Alaska, was there any kind of that you could share with us, the viewers listening from around the world? We're going to be posting this up on the world's largest YouTube channel, Third Phase of the Moon, about protocol as your senator up there in case of maybe an alien, extraterrestrial craft that may have landed in Alaska, or is there any protocol? Let's just say ET landed, or there was a contact from a law personnel or something like this.
Yeah, no, I have no knowledge of that from my Alaska experience, and so the answer to your question is no. My view then and now is that it's just logical that there would be extraterrestrial. And when you say it can be proven mathematically, I was not aware of that, but it is just plain logical that would be the case.
Do you think it would be logical as well? This is the case, and we have been visited by ET for over 1,000 years, that maybe Congress should make some kind of protocol in regards to a phenomenon, a huge extraterrestrial event?
Well, in my mind, both the administration and primarily the Congress should one acknowledge this possibility and set up or fund the UN committee that was created some time back, fund that commission to go ahead and pull in all the data, not only from the United States, but worldwide, and to monitor this activity worldwide and report the results of this investigation and this monitoring to the public worldwide, not just the United States. It's really infantile to think that our government withholds what it has discovered from the people of the United States and the people of the world. Other countries don't do that. France gives us every bit of information they have gleaned, and so does a number of nations in South America. But it appears that the military control this monitoring within the United States government, and of course the military is always beset by the elements of secrecy. And there's no need for secrecy in this regard. This is an issue that affects all human beings on planet Earth, and that whatever information is acquired about these extraterrestrials, it should be shared with all the people on Earth.
I think we want to get to some other questions coming up in the program. We're going to be coming to break here in a minute or so, but I wanted to touch on some of the topics we're going to get to, and we want to ask you about about the certain leaks that Snowden has put out, and as well as the new. Yeah, it's quite an incredible story. We're talking about it right before you came on the show, that these characters out right now are absolutely almost cartoonish in its own way. The power these individuals have are quite amazing, and what's going on in this world seems almost like a narration, a play, almost like a play being played out for the people in a way that we can understand, and that's the way they want us to understand. So these are some of the big questions we're going to be getting into, but I also wanted to ask, while you're a senator, and we're probably going to have to save this for a break, but you were aware of Area 51, but just 6 months ago, just recently, they just announced that publicly the CIA acknowledges that it did exist. Well, did you have any inclination or fascination about what was going on in there? And as a senator, did you have any right to, maybe visit Area 51?
Yeah, I recall going to the area, or let's say driving through the grounds. I didn't go into any hangars or anything like that, but driving through it. I forget the reason why. I think I was taking a flight on a jet that the Air Force had arranged, and we flew out of the air base there. And so I don't recall beyond that. I do recall that during that whole period, I was so upset with the Vietnam War and that's really what really floated my boat as terms of interest. And so I don't recall getting involved deeply in other issues other than trying to stop the war. We were killing thousands of people, including our own soldiers, needlessly. And that's really what upset me, and what was the watershed period of my awareness of governance.
Wow. Let's get to Snowden. Snowden's been world famous this past year, leaking U.S. secrets that he obtained from the NSA. There are people in the top administration that say they want to bring him back and prosecute, and then there's others that are talking maybe a possible negotiation, basically plea deal. He's looking for basically he's looking to come back to the U.S., but he doesn't want to be prosecuted. He wants to have his charges dropped. What do you think the case with Snowden?
Well, first off, I think he ought to stay away from the U.S. There's no way he would get fair treatment from the government, from our judicial system. And, of course, what he's done is not committed a crime. These hawks who defer to the military-industrial complex are all upset because he's showing how venal these policies are and the venality of the secrecy involved. Now, Snowden, in my mind, is a great hero. What he's done far exceeds what Daniel Ellsberg did and what I helped Daniel do in the release of the Pentagon Papers. Because what he's revealed is the ongoing secrecy and the ongoing crimes committed by the government. Now, remember that the Pentagon Papers showed that 3 presidential administrations, and then subsequently 4th, lied to the American people about what was going on with respect to the Vietnam War, our invasion of Cambodia and Laos. So all of those were lies. Now, those lies continue. That's the problem. After all of the risk that Dan took and I did at the time, it turns out that these lies continue, and we see it now with Snowden's revelations. And if there's people talking about, well, we'll treat Snowden properly and give him a fair trial, well, look what happened to Chelsea Manning. No way did he get a fair trial. And so if they want to prove that they'll be fair on the subject of reporting malfeasance in government, then they ought to pardon Chelsea Manning, and get him out of jail. And then if they do that, then maybe there is some confidence that there would be a fair treatment of Snowden were he to return to the United States. I think the best setup for Snowden is to get over to Brazil, and I think that's being negotiated. And as you know, Glenn Greenwald lives in Brazil and writes for The Guardian from Brazil, and Brazil would be a lot freer environment and a nicer place to live, particularly if you go down to Rio. It's not too shabby. And so I think Snowden has earned the right to go enjoy life in Brazil and to work with Glenn Greenwald in slowly revealing all of the information that they presently hold.
How do you stop the secrecy?
I don't think you can. I think that what's going to stop itself, because what's going to happen is we are an empire in decline, and we will continue to decline. Now, Britain, when their empire declined, we moved in to fill the void. Will China move in to fill our void? I don't know. But I know we're in decline, and I know that secrecy is generic, not only to the military, but to anybody in power, because it serves 2 purposes. It covers up your mistakes, and it makes you feel more important than you really are. Keep in mind, when I was 23 and 24 years old, I was a top secret control officer for the Communications Intelligence Service in Europe. What we did is we wiretapped people, we opened people's mail. Now that was back in the 30 years, 40 years ago. And so we were doing it then, and we're doing it now. The only change has been that we have better technology today than we did at that time in Germany. And so the military and the powers that be are availing themselves of the technology that's at their disposal. But the whole purpose of this is to maintain themselves in power. The elites control our society and have from the get-go. When I say have from the get-go, I'm talking about the very foundations of American society in the 16, 17, 1800s.
Wow. The secrecy continues. It just goes on and on. Obviously, there are some secrets that the public shouldn't be aware of for national security purposes and our safety. I totally agree with
those are what you call order of battle. Those are order of battle. And there's no question that should be held secret. Here, I'll give you a good example. There's no reason why any senator in the United States or a member of Congress should know the schedule of the picket duty of Trident submarines in the Pacific and Atlantic. They don't need to know that information. It's not relevant to their task. But whether we should field submarines on picket duty, that's a policy question, and clearly the United States should know, the Congress should be the one to determine what that policy should be. At this point, I think that policy is primarily determined by the military, and the Congress merely signs off on that. I don't think that's adequate, but that's the way it works.
There's photographs and videos of, these leaders and these criminals, basically Uday and Qusay out of Iraq, Saddam Hussein's sons. They show, after we blast them with an airstrike, their bodies to prove to the people, hey, we got them. And then Saddam Hussein, we got him and captured him, the video leaks of his hanging. And then the Libya event, we see Gaddafi being shot. Well, first there's an airstrike, and then we try and take them out. We fell, and then I guess some people on the ground, some citizens of Libya take them out. This is all shown to the public. But when we take out a major bad guy that inflicted so much pain on the United States in regards to 9/11, bin Laden, why aren't we? Do you think we should have been shown the videos and the photos of bin Laden and bodied?
Yeah. First off, there's no question. He should have been captured alive and brought to trial. But they didn't want to do that because they didn't want to reveal a lot of information, which may be very inaccurate with respect to bin Laden's guilt and complicity in a lot of these events. And so they didn't want to do that. And so from an executive point of view, from Obama's point of view, the best break that he could have is to have bin Laden killed in the process of being captured.